Hey, Mike Callahan here with a way to automate your employee recruiting and onboarding. In the past 3 to 4 years, we've used an automated system to recruit, onboard, train, and actually automate the exit interview process in our company. This has allowed us to save great amount of time while searching for the perfect employee and allowed our employee retention to skyrocket. So I'm going to take the next few minutes to show you how to automate your recruiting, onboarding, and eventually your exit process in your company through an automated standardized system. So the first step is to create a multi-step process that pre-qualifies your candidate. So in my company, we create expectations up front through either an online or in print job description that describes the job, the position's responsibilities, as well as the pay range. And then we create a multi-step process that the candidate must navigate through, such as opening several emails, submitting a DMV, a driver's report at a certain date and time, and many other functions. So by creating these expectations up front, the candidate knows exactly what the position entails and what the compensation may be. And by making the candidate work through a set multi-step process that is completely automated through an automation system, before the candidate actually gets to the first interview, we know they've actually made it through a multi-step process with time and deadline to make sure they can have a sense of urgency and follow preset instructions. This is key because these things are going to happen in the field as far as having a time deadline or be able to follow instructions with urgency. So the analogy I like to use is similar to a sports team. I like to stack my bench and always have tryouts. So by having interviews for every position in the company, including my own, yes, that's right, I do interview for my position in my company on a weekly basis. It is similar to a professional sports team with a top-notch scouting team. So we are constantly scouting or prospecting for top-notch employees in the lawn and landscape industry and interviewing them every Monday, Wednesday, and usually Friday, whether the position is needed to be filled or not. So this is going to basically stop the bad habit of hiring the first person in the door to basically put a Band-Aid on an employee either who quit or has been fired. So this actually has a positive effect in two different ways. A, we have a very qualified employee that once we hire them, that's gone through a multi-step process to make sure they actually can follow directions and meet a deadline. And the second benefit is that your existing employees know that their job is not totally guaranteed and they have to continue to produce to keep their job, similarly like a professional athlete. If they continue not to produce, there's multiple prospects on the bench ready to jump in and take their position if they're not going to produce. So we want to make sure our employees in the field know that their job is theirs unless they screw up, but we do not want our employees to get basically fat and lazy and not do what they are supposed to do on a daily basis. So if they're not hitting their daily goals and production rates, they know that a qualified candidate is on the bench waiting to take their position. So this is going to cause a sense of urgency within your field staff and ultimately cause a better experience for the customer. Here's a screenshot of the automation that we've set up in our entire company. So start to finish here, from the start here, we have a hiring process from prospecting to hiring. Once they're hired, we onboard them with several videos and training that automatically merges their name, address, pay rates, and job position into a predetermined employment contract. This also collects their tax documents such as a W-2 or a subcontractor's 1099. Once they're onboarded, we teach them about the company's culture and values. And once they are at the end of their term with the company, whether it be they retire or quit or get fired, we take them back to another process, which is linked to here, for an exit interview and documentation of the exit from the company. This next screenshot is an additional campaign or automated system that we've built internally. So you can see in the last 30 days, we've had 24 applicants set up for interviews. We've had 21 people requested for their tax documents. And we've had 20 people that have made it to their second interview. Now, out of this 20, in the last 30 days, we've hired 9 of them, which went into a separate automated campaign that started their training process and the fulfillment of all the rest of their employee handbooks and handing out of their employee uniforms. So by automating the system, we make sure every time someone is hired that the same onboarding process is done exactly to a T each and every time. The conclusion is you should document the perfect recruiting, onboard, training, and exit interview process. So before you attempt to automate this process, you should write out on paper the whole entire process from start to end, what it looks like from a 40,000 square foot overview, and what you anticipate it to look like in the next few years. So you can definitely spend the time to make sure you have the perfect onboarding, recruiting, and training system that you can automate. At this point, you want to start using automation to recruit superstar employees and stack your bench. So with qualified candidates waiting on the bench, your staff knows that at any time if they continue not to hit their measurable goals, there's a qualified candidate to jump in their job and actually replace them. The biggest takeaway is don't wait for it to be perfect. Act now and automate your recruitment, hiring, training, and exit process. The first draft will never be perfect, but if you try to make the first draft perfect and wait months, it's going to be too late. So I would highly recommend draft out what your automated process should look like and do your first implementation. Let it work for a month or two, and then go back and figure out where it can be tweaked and improved. If you don't put it out your first draft right now, you will never be able to improve the system. So put it together in the next week, and I challenge you to make a comment at the bottom of this post in the next 10 days that you've actually automated your hiring, recruiting process, and any lessons that were learned or takeaways that you had so we can help the rest of the group here. So until next week, I just wanted to share how to automate your hiring, onboarding, training, and exit interview process through an automated system. Thanks again, and if you have any questions, I will respond to them either publicly or privately, depending how you ask. And until next week, Mike Callahan, and have a great week.